Oh hey, didn't see you there. Hey guys, it's me, Zara. I've been working at Laketrails for about 3 years now, and today I'm going to be taking you through a nice little paint along. I decided to choose a photo from the Laketrails Instagram, so just follow along with me and hopefully it'll be great. Hey guys, so as I said, we're going to be doing a paint along. So grab your paints, your paint brushes, maybe a cup of water or two, and then whether you're using a canvas or paper, doesn't matter, use whatever you have available to you. This is the picture that we're going to be trying to recreate today. I got it from the Laketrails Instagram, as I said. It's kind of ways back there, but if you want to scroll back and find it, feel free. Without further ado, let's do it. Alrighty, so I'm starting off by just kind of covering my canvas in white because I kind of feel like that helps blend the colors a little bit better. Just makes it flow easier to blend things together, especially when you're trying to do water and sky and things like that. So to start with the sky, I'm going to take some orange and just kind of do one general swoop across, like about halfway down the page. And that way it kind of gives me a general horizon line that I'm looking out for. And now I'm just going to start blending that orange into my white just to get it the way I like it. And like I said earlier as well, feel free to pause this if I'm going too fast because it does go a little bit quickly, otherwise this video would be insanely long. But anyways, back to the painting. I'm also blending in some yellow here as well, just because I thought it helped lighten up the orange color that I had. Feel free to do whatever with whatever colors you want. Even if you don't want to use orange, you don't have to. Like I said, use whatever colors you have available to you. If you don't have orange, but you have red and yellow, feel free to mix those together to make an orange color. That can do it as well. And if you're watching the video, as you'll see, I kind of add more white as I go along. And this is just to kind of help blend the colors together. But I really encourage you to just take your time with the sky and make it look exactly how you want it, and feel free to pause the video and take as long as you need. It doesn't matter if it takes you 10 minutes or 10 hours, just take your time. Alrighty, so now as you can see, I'm starting to go in with the blue. And as I go in with the blue, I'm kind of blending it in from the top and meeting the yellow and orange in the middle. I find it easier to mix into the white first, that way I don't mix my blue and orange together right away, because if you do that it can kind of create a yucky brown color, and that's not what you want when you're looking for a beautiful sunset. So try to blend it into the white first and kind of get some of the paint out of your brush, and then when you're ready, go in and kind of blend them together, and it'll make a much smoother transition for you. Alrighty, so here I'm definitely adding a lot more white to blend these colors together. That way I do avoid getting that brown color. Definitely use more white than you probably think you should, because you can always go back and add more blue or orange or yellow later. It's really kind of a never-ending process, and you could kind of go forever to make it look how you want it to look. I think another important thing to note here is that if your sky isn't looking exactly the way you want it to, that's totally fine. There are going to be clouds that are going to go in the sky as well, and we also have the tree line to cover up some of it. So it doesn't need to be perfect, because there will be other things going in the sky that can maybe cover up some of the things you don't like about it. So don't worry too much if it's not coming out exactly how you thought it would. Right now, I'm mixing a darker blue on my palette, not too much darker than what the sky already is, but just enough so you can tell. And I'm going to put this in the top corners and a little bit just along the top edge as well, just to give the sky a little bit more depth. This will help it seem a little bit more realistic as well. And there I go again, adding more white. Like I said earlier, do not be afraid to add more white. It definitely helps blend the sky together and make it look so much nicer. So please do not be afraid to use white. This is all the sky really consists of. Orange, a little bit of yellow, kind of a lot of white and blue. So at this point, throughout the rest of me doing the sky, I'm just kind of making it look exactly how I want to, putting on the finishing touches, adding a little bit more white, and then a little bit more yellow, and a little bit more blue. Don't be afraid to use a few different brushes, go back and forth, wash out your brushes, do whatever you need to do to make the sky look exactly like you want it. And then when you're done, we can move on to the water. So I finally came to a good stopping point for me in the sky. This is what my sky is going to look like. I'm sure yours looks great as well. And now I'm just going to be mixing colors for the water. So right now in my palette, you can't see it, sorry, I should have put that in there, but I'm mixing kind of a pinkish color. Since I didn't put me mixing actually in the video, feel free to look at the actual picture, and that is what I'm basing all of my colors off of. So if you get confused on what colors I'm trying to mix, just look at the picture and that should clarify things. But right now I'm just mixing that pink color that's the base of the water, and then when I'm ready, I'm going to start laying that down, just like so. And I'm just going to put this pink color all across the top, kind of define my horizon line and make it set. And then I'm just going to bring it down a little bit in the middle, not all the way across because the pink doesn't go all the way through the picture, but just a little bit down the middle. And then I'm going to go back in with the orange that I made, and I'm going to kind of layer that together, again adding white and mixing this pink and the orange together to create the reflection of the sky onto the water. And since this is a reflection, since the sky had some yellow, I'm also going to add some yellow into this, just kind of blending these together along the right side there. Again, not going all the way down. I'm going at it again with the white because now I'm going to start adding some blue. Excuse me. We're going to add some blue to the bottom here and blend them together. This is kind of the same process that happened with the sky, now just with the water. So now there's blue, a little bit of white, and then into the orange, and then into the pink. So you just have that extra layer of pink in there, but otherwise the process is the exact same as the sky. So I'm sweeping this blue along the bottom, and then I'm going to go back in with the orange again because I looked at the picture and it does go all the way through the middle a little bit there. Even though there are some other colors overlapping it, it's good to get that base coat done. So I'm going in and bringing the orange all the way through and blending it all the way with the pink. That way I can then move on to blend the blue completely as well. I am also going in and adding just a tiny bit of black into the bottom left-hand corner because that is the darkest part of the picture. You do not need to use a lot because a little bit of black goes a long way, but I'm adding a tiny bit of black just to darken up that part of the picture, and I'll probably add more later, but I just wanted to start with a little bit, just kind of as a reminder to myself that that is the darkest point in the picture. And I'm just kind of putting that all along the bottom on the left side. I know that was a lot of information all at once, but take your time. I'm going to be working on my water for a long time. Basically, now I'm going in with the white and just really blending these colors all together and making the water look exactly how I want it to. Take your time with this. Again, feel free to pause the video. I know I gave you a lot of information all at once right there. So feel free to pause it, go back, and re-listen to any part that you need to. Now comes the trickier part of the water, where towards the top left-hand side of our water, I'm going to go in with some blue to, again, reflect from the sky. This is also making the reflection of the clouds that we're going to put in later. So I'm putting this blue in there, kind of making it stand out a little bit, and then as I go along, I'm kind of blending it into that pink to make it a purpley color. So I even blended a little bit of the purple color on my palette onto the side by just mixing my blue and my pink together and then putting it on the water. It's okay if this doesn't blend perfectly because again, it's the reflection of the clouds onto the water. So some of it can blend a little bit, but other parts should stand out a little bit more. Just really make it look exactly how you want it. Again, it's just a reflection of water, so it doesn't need to look perfect. Just do the best that you can. I also decided to go in with this purple color that I made and just darken up some parts of the water that are closer to the horizon. This just makes it look a little bit more realistic, and it'll help the whole painting come together when we finally add the tree line and the clouds. It'll just make it look more realistic and more well thought out. Okay guys, so now we're going to need more of that purple color that we were blending earlier. So if you haven't made a lot of that yet, go ahead and make some off to the side. It should just be mixing that blue from the sky and that pink from the water together to make like a light kind of lavendery color, because we're going to go in and add more reflections of the clouds that we're going to put in soon. So I'm just kind of lightly going in with my brush, my dry brush, and tapping in where I want my reflection to be. Again, I'm just kind of following along the best I can to the picture and putting purple wherever I see purple along the water. And then closer to the edge, just kind of blending that purple into the blue a little bit more because it does all kind of blend together along the left-hand side there and stands out more towards the orange. Another thing to note right here is to not be afraid to overlap your colors. At this point, your orange should be pretty dry, so you shouldn't be afraid of your purple mixing in there and kind of creating that yucky brown color that we talked about earlier. You should be able to layer on top of that and it should be fine. So now I'm also going in with a little bit more black into that left-hand corner to darken it up a little bit more, blending in the blue and the purple kind of all together with the black and really just making that bottom left-hand corner come to life and give it more depth, as I said earlier. And then we are also going to go in and just keep adding little bit layers of purple here and there as we see fit, kind of darkening it up. Don't be afraid to go to the dark side. It really makes the painting all come together at the end. Don't be afraid of your color, just kind of go for it. I promise it'll all work out in the end, even if it doesn't seem like it is now. Once you have the cloud reflections looking how you want, we're going to start focusing on that bottom right hand corner, and we're basically just adding a darker blue to that corner, again to add more depth, make it come to life a little bit more and look a little bit more realistic. So just kind of blend that darker blue into the lighter blue that's already there. And once you've done that, you have your water. So feel free to take this time, make the water exactly how you want it to be, adjust some of the clouds, blend colors better together if you'd like. Until then, I'm going to be mixing more of that purple color since we are going to be doing the clouds next. So the clouds are mostly going to be purple, so if you want to make your clouds purple, I would also suggest mixing more of that. And my purple color is now done. Here is what it looks like to give you a quick little view, and that is the color that I'm going to be using to do the clouds. So to do the clouds, I'm really just trying to follow along with the picture and put purple on top of my sky wherever I see purple in the picture. And while this can be kind of scary because you're covering up all that hard work that you put into the sky, it really will look nice in the end. And right now I'm not worrying about what it looks like. I'm just kind of putting color down wherever I see purple in the picture, and this is going to make it look really nice. Also, when I go in on the right side to put in some of the clouds, I did make them a little bit skinnier and a little bit lighter, just because that is how they were in the picture, and I didn't want the purple to be too harsh there if the clouds were already going to be lighter. Otherwise, we're just finishing blotching on all of our purple, and then once this is done, we're going to go through and we're going to add a little bit of white to them and blend them in, make them look a little bit fluffy. Make sure your brush is dry, and add white kind of to the tops to give it that light on top. You can even add some in the middle here like I'm doing, just kind of wherever you want. This will just make the cloud look a little bit fluffy and look more three-dimensional as well. Again, make sure your brush is dry because this will make this process so much easier. And now I'm headed up into the clouds, into the blue section. There's not as many here, but there's a couple little skinny ones. And again, just blocking out the purple before going in with the white to make it more fluffy and lifelike. At this point, the main shape and color of the clouds is put onto my canvas, so now I'm going through, even adding a little bit of pink here and there, again with white, a little bit of pink, really any color that I feel like could maybe brighten up the cloud a little bit. I did mess up a few times, so I'm kind of going back and like redoing it a little bit, but no problem. No mistake is a bad mistake, just happy accidents. We can always fix it, add layers of paint over. This really is the part where I'm just taking my time and making the clouds look as lifelike as possible, and really it just comes with blotching colors together, kind of blending them in and just making it look as fluffy as possible. Random little side note here, but I'm pretty sure at this point I took a break to go make some cookies. So all this is to say is that if you are feeling hungry or you just need to take a break from looking at your painting for a little bit, go do it. Do what you gotta do. Come back with some fresh eyes and a fresh mind and get ready to go back into the clouds. Alrighty guys, so this isn't to make you feel rushed or anything, but at this point I'm done with my clouds and I have actually moved on to making a very dark gray color to do the silhouette of the tree line. So the reason I didn't do black, which you obviously can if you really want to, but the reason I didn't is because I thought it would just look a little bit too harsh against the colors that we were already using and it would stand out too much. So I decided to take all the leftover purple that I had and mix it in with a little bit of black and use that to create my really dark gray color. It's almost black, but it's not quite. It's a little bit lighter than that. And also this way I wasn't wasting the purple paint. I didn't want it to just throw it away or have it go bad, so I mixed it in to reuse it. Anyways, so after I mix in this color, we are going to start on with the skyline. So to do the skyline, I'm mostly just looking at the picture to get the general shape of the trees, but I'm really just putting this color in all along the bottom, or not the bottom of the sky, the top of the water, the middle there, and just kind of blocking in where I want the trees to be, not really worrying about if they have like a pointy top or anything. This part should be pretty straightforward. It's just putting this color on. There's no blending that needs to be done. You're just putting it on top of what's already there. And as I'm doing this, I'm trying my best to make a straight line along the bottom of the skyline there. I just think it looks really nice if it's a crisp straight line. Obviously I'm not perfect at it, but I do my best. Alrighty, so as you can see along that right hand side over there, I did start to put in some pointy tops to show that they are trees. Feel free to do that. You can do as many or as little as you want. If you don't want to have any, feel free, don't put any in. If you wanted to have them all like that, feel free to do that as well. I just started doing it along the right hand side, and then as I go, I'm going to gradually put more and more in wherever I want them to be. And I'm just using the very tip of my brush to do this, to try and make them as small as possible, that the way they don't stand out too much and they look more natural that way. And now I'm going into the right side and making that a little bit taller as well. Still just blocking in that solid color, no blending needed. Just putting it in and making the treetops where I want them to be. Alrighty guys, not to make you feel rushed or anything, but once you're done with that, we are actually going to start moving on and putting some of this darker color onto the water to create the reflection of the trees. So to do this, I wet my brush and only put a tiny bit of paint on there, so the paint was really diluted and it wasn't as harsh of a color. This way I could blend it a little bit easier with the colors that were there. This just kept it from being like the silhouette in the trees. I really wanted to make it look like a soft reflection in the water rather than, oh look, there's a tree already in the water. So I'm just kind of going through with a very wet brush and just kind of slowly adding this in and really taking my time with it, just so I didn't cover up too much of the water. Another thing I'm being sure to do here is to leave a thin line of that water in between the reflection and the actual silhouette. I really think it just makes it pop and allows the horizon line to stand out a little bit more. And as I get that main layer of color down, I am kind of going back in with that leftover little bit of purple and pink that I had and just kind of dabbing it in there with a drier brush. That way it blends together a little bit more and doesn't create as harsh of lines. And I just keep kind of going back and forth between this wet brush with the darker color and then this dry brush with the lighter pinks and purples on it to really blend these together and make it all seem like one thing rather than just like a block of splotchy color on this beautiful water that we had just painted. And then when I finish with that, I'm going to go and do the same thing on the other side. So on the right side, there isn't as much of a tree reflection in the water, so I didn't go in with quite as much color, and I went in with a little bit more water rather than color. And again, while I do this, I'm just going back and forth between the wet brush with the darker color and then the lighter brush with the lighter colors to just help it blend together and really create that cohesive picture that we're looking for. You can also do what I did here. I felt like I messed up a little bit, made it too dark, so I just went over and added some white to it. I really think that adding white to it, kind of dabbing it along with the other colors, kind of like we did with the blue and orange in the sky, really just helps it blend together and make it look a lot nicer. Again, as I said many times before, really just take your time with this and make it look the way you want it to look. This is your painting after all, so really take creative liberty with it and really do what you want to do with it. Don't be afraid to go back to the colors that we used for the water originally and kind of start trying to blend them in and play with them a little bit more. Also, if you just feel like you want to fix up your water in general, maybe your cloud reflections a little bit, go back and do that as well. This is kind of a time to just kind of like fix up all of the little rough edges that you have before we get to the last final step of actually putting the little guys in the canoe on the painting. For the step with the canoe, you can pencil it in first if you'd like, but I'd encourage you to just go for it and see what you can do with just your paint. If anything, you can just paint over it again. But I'm going in with that same really dark gray that we made earlier and just kind of like lightly penciling in the canoe with my paint. So just kind of doing a really rough edge of it. And I'm not worrying about the reflection yet. I'm just doing the main canoe part with the people in it. When it comes time to do the little people in your canoe, don't freak out too much. You're not painting actual people. It's just a silhouette, so you're basically just going to paint a box with a little circle on top, and that'll be his body. And then for the guy in the back, he's waving, so I added the little arm as well. So now it's time for the reflection, and you're basically just going to copy that exact same image just right below it and just flip it. So this is the one reflection in this entire picture that is actually pretty harsh, so you're just going to kind of go for it and basically mirror that image right across the bottom of that canoe. If you find yourself struggling with the reflection of this, sometimes it can help to actually turn your canvas upside down and just try painting it again. I didn't do it, but I have done that in the past. So if you are struggling with this, you can try that out and see if it works for you. Alrighty, you guys, so once you finish your reflection of this little canoe, this painting is technically done. However, I went in and decided to add a little bit more detail to the water just to make it look like the boat was actually flowing through the water. I added a little bit more blue in there. I thought it made it look a little bit nicer. And then after I finished this, I'm going to go and touch up my clouds a little bit again, just adding a little bit more white and making them a little bit more fluffy and lifelike. If you guys enjoyed this, please let me know. I'd love to do another one. I had a great time making it. I would also love to see your recreations of this. So if you would like to, when you finish, please post it on your Instagram, whether it be your story or just a regular post, and you could tag Laketrails. That way we can see all your beautiful recreations. That would be wonderful because we would love to see the work that you made with us today. So thank you guys so much for listening, and I will see you later this summer.